everybody, this is Correne and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, you're going to be joining me in some rainy day salve making. We've got some much needed rain here in southern Ontario, and because it is rainy and yucky outside and we finally have a break in this heat wave, I figured this was the perfect time to catch up on some salve making. I've got customers who are wanting to know when Solstice Sunshine is going to be back in stock, so I figured I would take you along for the ride. So first I'm going to talk about some basic supplies you need for salve making. It's really a lot simpler, I think, than people realize. It's a pretty accessible form of medicine to make. One thing that I really recommend you have is a double boiler. And this is the top part of my double boiler. The bottom part is over on the stove right now. You really don't want to put your beeswax and all of that kind of stuff directly on your heating element. It's just going to cause your oils to go rancid. It's going to possibly burn your beeswax. So you really want to use a double boiler. If you don't have a double boiler, you can make one. All you need is a basic pot and a heat resistant bowl, like a Pyrex bowl. Usually what I do when I do this is I maybe stick like a toothpick or something underneath here just to allow some of the steam to escape, because you will be putting water on the bottom of your pot, and that's what's going to warm the beeswax and the herbs and everything so that they melt. So you can easily at home do a DIY double boiler. Of course, what else you're going to need is beeswax of some kind, and you have a few options. If you know a local beekeeper, you can probably get your hands on some amazing smelling local beeswax. It comes in brick form, so it's a little bit more cumbersome to work with, but the smell is out of this world, and it's what I'll be working with today. Another option is to get yourself some of these beeswax pellets. You can find them organic, and you can usually find them local too, so this can make weighing out your beeswax a little bit easier. Optional is shea butter. I like adding shea butter to my salves, but you don't have to. You can just go with 100% beeswax. So I've got my shea butter here today too. And of course you're going to need herbal infused oils of some kind. And whatever herbs you decide to infuse into your oils will be determined on what it is that you're trying to make. Are you trying to make a cold and flu chest salve, like a Vicks Vapor Rub type thing? Are you trying to make a muscle rub for sore muscles? Or are you trying to make an all-purpose salve for cuts, bites, scrapes, and stings? St. John's wort, I did a video on that, and I'll put a link up here. You can check out the medicines that I made with St. John's wort, including a herbal infused oil. It makes a lovely one. So I've got my beeswax all weighed out. I have my beeswax and my shea butter all weighed out. I do recommend, if you're going to be doing a lot of medicine making, if you're going to be making tinctures and salves and ointments and all these types of things, it may be worth your while to pick up an inexpensive digital kitchen scale. I probably paid 20 or 25 bucks for this thing 11 years ago. Other than replacing the batteries, which I've only had to do once or twice, it's a really worthwhile investment because most recipes you're going to find are going to be in grams, including mine. So what you need for my recipe, and this makes a lot of salve, it makes 10 60 milliliter jars. So if you want to make a smaller amount of salve, you'll just have to divide the numbers in half or in thirds. You're going to need a total of 90 grams of beeswax and butter. So I like to use 70 grams beeswax and 20 grams shea butter. And then to that, you're going to need 500 milliliters of herbal infused oil. So I'm going to get to melting my beeswax, and we will come back once that is started to melt and you can see what it looks like, and I'll explain the next steps of the process after that. So as you can see, my beeswax is all melted. So the next step is going to be adding my herbal infused oils. So I do have my 500 milliliters measured out. What herbs you use is completely up to you. I've got a blend of 4 different herbal infused oils in this particular salve, but you can use just one if you want to make a plantain salve or a chickweed salve or calendula. So it's really up to you if you choose to blend your herbs and sort of combine their medicinal properties in a synergistic formulation, or if you just want to make one simple salve with one ingredient. Anything goes, really. And this is the same process for making lip gloss too, by the way. So I just wanted to show you how cool it looks when you pour your herbal infused oils into your already melted beeswax. It starts to solidify because of the temperature difference. It's really neat. So we just have to be patient at this point, and again, wait for these to melt. And normally what I do when that's happening is I start prepping my jars. So I've got really nice blue jars that I like to use, and I get them ready by taking the lids off to make sure they're ready for me to pour into. But again, anything goes in this particular case. You can use mason jars. Lots of folks use mason jars for making salves, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I just urge you to look into getting glass containers of some kind, especially if you're going to be adding essential oils to your salve. Essential oils will eat right through plastic, and so you definitely want to go with glass if you can. If you are able to find a darker colored glass too, it will increase the life expectancy of your salve because it won't oxidize as quickly, but again, not necessary, especially if you're going to go through it really quickly. So once those are all melted, I'll show you the next step in the process. So as you can see, everything is in liquid form. This is what we're going for. Now for years, I've been trying to find a double boiler that has a lip that I could pour from, like a spout, and I've never been able to find one that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, and I'm far too frugal for that. So what I usually do is transfer my melted salve into a measuring cup to make it easier for me to pour. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I like having kitchen implements that are designed or designated for salve making only. So I don't use this measuring cup for anything else, and I don't use this very sad tea cloth for anything else either because it's covered in beeswax. No matter how hard I try, I end up getting beeswax everywhere. So I'm just going to pour it into here. Now I always reserve the water, the boiling water, from the bottom of my double boiler, and I just keep it warm on the stove because this will start to harden inside the measuring cup. So that way I can just warm it up again if I'm having trouble or some of the stuff on the bottom has poured off. So I've got it all poured in now. This is the stage where if you choose to add essential oils, you would want to do so. You don't want to add them while everything's melting because they're just going to evaporate off from the heat. But once it cools down a little bit, like it's not even that warm to touch at this point, this would be a great time to add essential oils if you choose. I personally prefer to work within the 1% dilution area. I don't find that you really need a lot of essential oils in salves for them to do their work. And this would also be when you would choose to add vitamin E if you'd like to use that as a preservative. So I'm going to get to adding just a few drops of essential oil, and then I will show you how I pour them out, and that will be it. So I'm just finishing up putting in my essential oils. Just a quick additional note about essential oils. Like I said, that 1% dilution is my preference, but make sure you do your research that you know the essential oils are safe for topical use, they're safe for kids, all that kind of stuff. And when you're using anything that's really strong like clove or cinnamon, that you use in really, really small amounts. Essential oils are not necessary in herbal salves. They do make a nice addition, but you really don't have to add them if you don't want to. So as you can see, I've got all of my salves poured, and it doesn't take long for them to start to harden. So that's the next step of the process, is just to have a little bit of patience. Usually within an hour or two, your salves will be ready for you to put the lids on and label them. Sometimes people will ask me how you get completely smooth tops. If you've ever made salves before, sometimes they crack on you on the top. If that's something that you want to achieve, here's a tip for you. Save some of your melted salve and reserve it, set it aside, maybe about 10% or so. Once these have completely hardened, and if there's any cracks on top, you just want to either remelt that or keep it warm and then pour a second topping on top, just like a cap. And that's how people hide whether or not they've got either dimples or cracks in the tops of their salves. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. I'm so very grateful that you've chosen to spend some time in my herbal kitchen today. Thank you so very much, and I will see you on the next video.